Alright, look, Ant-Man, you had your shot in Infinity War, you had your shot in Endgame. Ant-Man 3 is the movie where you finally go up someone's butt and expand. Make it happen, faggy. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. We have a major update here on Ant-Man 3. This is the third Ant-Man movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, played by Paul Rudd as Scott Lang Antman. These might be the movies that collect the least amount of money in the Marvel Universe, but they are the most fun to watch, and I'm so happy he's getting a third movie, and with this third villain, sky's the limit. So I'm gonna need you guys to leave me your opinions down below. How do you feel about the villain for Ant-Man 3? We were told earlier in the year what some of the villains might be, but now we know that's not true. Do you like this inclusion? How do you feel about the casting? And what are your predictions for what this could mean about the third Ant-Man movie? And also don't be forgetting to hit that like button if you're just excited to see some more Ant-Man in your life. Alright, so the major update is coming to us here from Deadline. They have it reported that Jonathan Majors joins Marvel Cinematic Universe, lands major role in next Ant-Man movie. Now, if this actor isn't familiar to you, he's gotten a lot of rise in fame through the show Lovecraft. It's a new HBO series that I have been checking out. It's really good, and this guy is fantastic in it. He's the lead of that show. And the specifics of the article go, after a star-making turn in HBO's hit series Lovecraft Country, Jonathan Majors is now ready to make his mark in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a big way. Majors has been tapped for one of the lead roles in the next Ant-Man movie opposite Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly. The studio had no comment, but sources close to the project says he's likely to play the supervillain Kang the Conqueror. Deadline seems to always have it on the money. Of course, Marvel doesn't want to confirm things right now. Heck, they've been very hush-hush quiet since the whole pandemic. I think their main focus right now is how they're going to release Black Widow and what they're going to do with that, so they probably don't want to confirm any of this stuff. But with our main villain looking to be Kang the Conqueror, oh my god, guys, this third Ant-Man movie is going to be something else. Now, I'm going to do my best to summarize Kang the Conqueror for you, but I'll just give it to you straight. This man has a complicated, long history. There's so many different versions of him. It's kind of going to be impossible to know what exactly Marvel is going to do with him on the big screen. But just a basic summary, he's a regular dude who by chance was given the ability to time travel, being able to inherit him with all this futuristic tech, making him a good foe for the Marvel Cinematic villains of our current time. But focusing more on his time travel side, the guy has been everywhere and anywhere all at once. And it's not just the fact that this dude has time traveled all over the Marvel comics, there's also multiple versions of him throughout the multiverse. As it stands right now in the comics, Kang the Conqueror is actually a descendant relative of Reed Richards. If Marvel decides to take that element of Kang the Conqueror, then we have our entryway of showing us the Fantastic Four for the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we all know is coming. Earlier in the year, when we heard Ant-Man 3 was becoming a reality, Paul Rudd was given the task to write the script for the third film and do with it as he pleased. Now, the Paul Rudd's version of the script contained the villain as MODOK, which is now the villain for the Avengers video game, so probably that's why they decided not to go with that. And also, Paul Rudd's version was going to introduce the Fantastic Four, bringing them full circle into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Looks like Marvel might have had a change of heart or decided to do things differently, because now we know Kang the Conqueror is the villain, but maybe they want to keep the elements of bringing in the Fantastic Four and having that multiverse element. It's also kind of poetic if you think about it, that the villain for the third Ant-Man movie would be a time traveler, as Scott Lang is responsible for the time traveling in Endgame. So Kang the Conqueror could be someone that they accidentally made by messing with the timeline. But then again, I've said Kang the Conqueror has had a long history in Marvel Comics, so much so that he's one of the people responsible for the Young Avengers becoming a reality. He's been a foe to the Young Avengers, which is sort of like the Teen Titans for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that was one of the reasons we heard why Paul Rudd's version of the script was not used, because Marvel had a change of heart in no longer wanting the Fantastic Four to be introduced in Ant-Man 3, and instead them be the stepping stones for Young Avengers. This is kind of Marvel's way of doing it. They bring in these characters into these solo adventures, have the audience know that, okay, they're in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you like these guys, and then we're gonna give them their own movie. I mean, they did that with Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther in Civil War, Spider-Man in Civil War, and with the way we ended off Ant-Man's story in Endgame, he's actually perfectly set up to start the whole Young Avengers initiative, because his daughter, Casey Lang, is now all all grown up, that teenage age, perfect and willing to want to start filling in the shoes of her father and be like, I want to join the family business and be a superhero dad. That wasn't the only reports we've had of Ant-Man 3 and what is going on. From everything that we've heard about Ant-Man 3, it's going to be a very different film. I compare it a lot to like how Thor 3 was very different than the previous Thor movies, where Thor Ragnarok just felt like an entirely different genre, where it just got a huge color boost, an injection of comedy, went a whole different direction. Peyton Reed, who's the director of these Ant-Man movies, had that exactly to say about this, where he said, "We are working our way through the pandemic. There's something really exciting things in store, none of which, of course, I could speak to you about right now, as is the Marvel way. I think the third Ant-Man movie is going to be a much bigger, more sprawling movie than the first two. It's going to have a very different visual template." So that right there lets me know they're basically gonna Ragnarok Ant-Man and inject him with color, heighten up what we know this character to be, and hopefully refresh him enough to where audiences finally go pay to see an Ant-Man movie. Because the other reports we were getting online is that this third Ant-Man movie would have the biggest action sequences of the entire franchise. I'm sure they're not just talking about Ant-Man going giant on us and fighting a bunch of people. I think they're going for some really huge set pieces. The Ant-Man fight scenes are always my favorite to watch on screen, just because I feel like they're so creative and fun to watch. But as of right now, that is what's happening with Ant-Man 3. We have our official villain. Now we just gotta wait a little further. I hope they give a little more love to Wasp. I wonder if Casey Lang's gonna put on a suit and fight with her father. But I want to hear from you guys. How do you feel about this update concerning Ant-Man 3? How do you feel about the villain? Where do you think is the direction they'll take with him? And if you're better knowledge with Kang the Conqueror, what would you want to see them do with this character? Anything and everything, you guys go ahead and leave your thoughts down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. As always, I'm Chris. Take care.